Dario, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
It's been a little bit of a time. I'm so jealous of you, man. You like to travel. You know?
I do.
Traveling the world, traveling the States, Alamo, Florida.
You know, I told myself when COVID happened that I wanted to see more of the United States, and I took it upon myself to take more road trips. And, you know, it's one big, beautiful country. If you get out there and see it,
Absolutely.
Especially if you go west, you know, southwest. These landscapes are so vast and so natural that you're like, wow, this is very humbling, you know? And even when you go out west, you could see what John Ford did with his films in terms of like incorporating the landscape as part of the character of the West.
Right.
So those old Westerns where you see the big sprawling desert, you go out there like, wow, this is beautiful. This is part of our country, you know, and go out there. You can't beat it, some of these places.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, because Dario's came on a few times now, and I think one time since we've started doing video, Dario Anthony is a writer and actor. He's been in a few of things that people may know, some plays as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption.
That was my favorite one.
That
was my favorite.
If you don't know, Dario was in Red Dead Redemption Part 2.
Part 2, yes.
Part 2. That's like the best one.
Is it? I haven't played it, but it was fun to shoot it because you break it into two parts. So they put those jumpsuits on you,
The little balls.
Yes, just because they can record your motion. And
send me that photo again. So for YouTube, I'll pop it
Okay.
up. I'll pop it up on the screen for people watching.
I'll send it to you. But to have that on and go in the studio and record that, and then go into like a sound mixing studio and then record your lines, that was one of the funner experiences.
So you were saying that you went out west, southwest, the United States. I asked you this when you like first came on, but being that we have video now, can you do on the arm your impersonation for the Owl Hoot Gang? Because that's who you played, right? You were in the Owl Hoot Gang, Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, I was in I was an outlaw, and there was bounty on my head, and I guess the lawmen were coming to find me. But Owl Hoot Gang, you're right. You know, but you've played Rockstar games. You played Grand Theft Auto.
I've played Grand Theft Auto. I attempted to play Red Dead Redemption too. Mm-hmm. People are gonna hate me for this, but it was for me it was a little too complicated.
Okay.
I was going to my camp trying to figure out what to do, and I couldn't figure it out. It just kind of made me lose interest.
I think the part that I enjoyed the most was that I used to play these games when I was in high school, and then working for them and doing it was kind of like coming full circle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because they were fun. You know, they were fun to play, and you know, in high school they're good for a laugh because they make you say in the game. You remember Grand Theft Auto 3?
All too well.
Yeah. So you go to the different neighborhoods and you hear somebody screaming out, and then I remember going through the Italian neighborhood and somebody screams out in Italian and it's like, son of a bitch, you know what I mean? So it's fun, but I did that when I was in there. So he had me say something like fiery lakes of piss, but you know, you had to do it in like that rough tumble, like fiery lakes of piss, you know what I mean? So it was fun to just and I was laughing hysterically. Like the guys in the room were laughing with me. It was a very good time. That one was like, it's been like since 2019 that I did it. Like that one I remember the most because it was so much fun, you know. Like, and then I went to Ukraine. I went to Ukraine right before this war started. That was surreal too.
Coldplay, right?
Yeah, Coldplay did a music video out there because it was cheaper to send American actors to Ukraine than film American actors in New York.
Wow.
So they did like a mock-up of Ukraine, of New York City in Kiev, 2019, right before this war happened. I was like, I guess one of the last few people to be out there before this thing broke off. Wow. Yeah, and you know what? Like it was a beautiful place to be. The people were very friendly. You know, food was amazing. But the thing is, you know, like the dollar, I would tip somebody because they gave us like Ukrainian money.
Right.
And we would go out. I would tip somebody. Is you sure you want to give me this? Because he was very like shocked how much it was. The exchange rate for the dollar was like for every one of our dollars was like 20 of theirs.
Right.
And I was giving them like 30 of our money, and it was 60 of theirs. So like, you sure you want to give me this? I was like, yeah, go ahead, have fun. They gave me spending money, so I was like, yeah, more the merrier.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, that was fun. Good
for you. Now, as an actor, you've come on a lot of episodes that are in regards to Hollywood. Mm-hmm. There's a movie that just came out recently. I don't know if it's out yet. Wicked?
It came out. It came out last Thursday, the 21st.
Right. I've seen people actually going to...
They try to do like a Barbenheimer with Gladiator this time.
Yeah, to compete with it.
Yeah, it didn't do well.
Well,
Gladiator didn't do well. Wicked's doing very well.
Oh,
Yeah.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't expect Gladiator 2. Some movies you just really can't touch for a second movie. You really
That's
can't.
one of them. As soon as I heard the idea of Gladiator 2, I was like, no thanks.
You can't.
Even like it could, I was like, no thanks. No thanks. You don't need to touch it.
Dario's also a very big movie critic. I think that's something that you should really get into. But I sent you the reel that I made, which got taken off on TikTok, and it was
Did it really? Why did it get taken off?
in 2 minutes. I had gotten about 200 views.
Why did it get? Did they give you
And
a
then
reason?
it said violation. And you've seen the video.
Yes.
I didn't say
I
anything.
never would have thought anything in that video.
Nothing
was,
in there was bad. Then it said age restriction. So it said age restriction, viewers under 18 can't see this. And I'm like, why? And then it just completely it stopped getting views. So I knew that in the amount of time that I posted it, if it was already up to a certain amount of views, it was on pace to do very, very well. You know, because I had one video to other people out there, 10,000 is not a lot views and likes and all that, whatever. But I have one video I was explaining something that was going on during the Canadian wildfires. People were accusing helicopters of starting the fires, and I asked one of my friends who's an outdoorsman, like big outdoorsman, and he was like, "No, they're fire lining. They're trying to stop further fires from spreading by dropping a line of fire to burn up the stuff that can catch fire."
Already dead stuff.
Stuff to burn it out so that when the fire comes from the wildfire to that area, it can't catch.
I think they were doing that in New Jersey recently with this wildfire.
line.
Yeah, because there's a lot of dead stuff, dry stuff.
So that video I had noticed was on pace to, I was like, oh, this is, you know, and it did. So this video that I had posted about Wicked, which was nothing bad. It was, we'll get to it, but it got taken down. And I peeled it. They don't even give you the option.
They don't give you the reason, do they?
They don't give you the, no, not a reason. It's very vague. There's a couple of categories. They'll put, this is the, whatever. They don't even give you the reason to appeal. Like, they don't let you put words.
Wow.
When you appeal something on TikTok. Like, let me explain, like, how is this? What is, you know? So anyways, so everybody knows what I'm getting at is, I was out last week driving somewhere. I had to go somewhere to pick up something, go back home. I was a little under the weather last week, so I had to pick up medicine. And I passed one of the billboards that shows different things, and Wicked was on there. Now, I still keep the faith, even though I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I still have the faith. I noticed something very striking to the Wicked billboard picture. And I was like, it's very similar to the Michelangelo painting, which I'll pull up on the screen, of God touching Adam or man. You said it was Adam. I didn't know it was Adam. I thought it was just, you know, just man, just going like that. Not touching, but just very close.
Yeah, the iconic one. It's from the Sistine Chapel, I believe.
Right. It's one of the paintings in there on the ceiling, I think. So I just saw that and I was like, this is strikingly similar. And then it popped in my head because we've done a whole month straight of ghost stuff. I mean, conspiracy stuff. I was like, it's still out there that Hollywood does a lot of, they say it's not on purpose, but they do a lot of insubliminal hate on faith.
Well, the most recent example was that from the Olympics. They claimed that it was the Feast of Dionysus. But, you know, you have the pale horse. That's straight from the book of Revelation.
There was a lot of Bible imagery in the opening ceremony of the...
But that guy claims, no, this was the Feast of Dionysus.
Well, if you take that picture, I was going to make a reel on this. I was like, so many people were doing it. But if you take the Feast of Dionysus and you compare it to the Last Supper, there are similarities, yes. No, it was very close or closer to the Last Supper.
Yeah.
The way they were seated, even the spaces and stuff like that. Granted, that was, again, a painting, a depiction. So no one really knows what it looked like, even if his 12 apostles were really there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 12, right? Am I bugging out?
12 plus him is 13.
Yeah. But it was very similar to that. And they did that in the Olympics. Now, the Olympics is watched by tons of people. But we're talking...
If not billions.
Billions. We're talking Hollywood, though. And Hollywood does it all the time. Now, I'll pull up the video if I can. There's a guy I follow on Instagram. He pulls up he does a lot of stuff's what we're talking about, similar stuff to what we're talking about right now. And the Weeknd came out with a new music video. In the video, there's a pregnant woman. The pregnant woman, her belly is exposed, and there's lips that are popping out through the belly button area. And while he's singing, it just looks weird. It looks evil. You understand? We go back to when we were talking about this last Doja Cat. She was dressed as like a sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah, I remember something about that. Yeah.
Sam Smith, when he started, I think he was American Idol.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. We don't have computers in front of us.
We don't have no Jamie.
We wing it, you know. Yeah, our Jamie, he's very hot and cold, Joey. But I believe he was on American Idol or something like that, or I could be wrong. But when he started, he was very, you know, just a regular Joe.
Yeah.
He started singing. He dressed normal. In one year, he just started changing, and his music imagery in the videos, I think like the Body Shop song, he had dressed, I don't know if that was the correct name.
You know, it's funny, like you and I are talking about him, but we haven't spoken about him prior to all this controversy. So I think part of this, I think we discussed this last time, is that agenda to be different for different sake. Oh, well, just, you know, say you're the devil. That'll make people talk about you, because no, in their warped mind, you know, any press is good press. You know, I think some of these celebrities go out on a limb, very, very weak limb, you know, just because they want to be different for the sake of being different. You know what I mean? And that's the worst thing you could be. Just because you want to say, hey, look at me. Look at me. You know what I mean? I think a lot of them do it for that. Some of them really don't believe, but then you got some of them that are really like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah. Sam Smith, his imagery changed. He, in that song, The Body Shop or whatever it's called, very satanic imagery. It just straight up, I think he was dressed as the devil.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have a lot of things coming out with musicians, Diddy, and these parties.
It's wild.
And these, I mean, it's like almost, it's right up there with Jeffrey Epstein.
That is Jeffrey Epstein, part 2. There's no difference. There's no difference between what he was doing and what Epstein was doing, how far it goes, how deep that rabbit hole goes. Because you have like Ellen DeGeneres making that comment on Twitter. You saw that?
Oh, we can.
What she said about that? Like she called him some like 8 names, and it was all like Snuggle Muffin Mix something pants. I'm like, all this coming out, and now you go choose to move to another country.
So she's trying to keep politics.
Yeah.
But she's using that because of the person that got elected, that she moved to the United Kingdom. Saw a report that her house got flooded already, which is kind of like crazy, karma-esque.
What do you mean, like actually flooded?
Yeah, something. I don't know how true it is, but I read that online today. But I could be just a bogus report. But anyways, she moved over there, and of course, all these tweets from her are resurfacing. How she put these pro-Diddy tweets on Twitter at the time, and now the Diddy case is going. You hear things about it almost every week, you know. Sometimes a week goes by, you don't really, but it's there, it's happening, and she's in the United Kingdom all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
I mean, again,
I don't believe in coincidences.
But England has extradition laws,
right?
You know what I mean? So they will extradite her if need be. So, I mean, does she just want to be like, all right, I don't want to be around negative press, you know, just take herself out of that completely? I don't know.
I don't really think she's out of the press. I mean, there's photos of her, you know, they even...
But how much are they really following her out there as compared to if she was still staying in America? You know what I mean?
This is true, but I mean, they're out there too. I just find the timing, like I said, we don't...
It's odd. You know, there's smoke. Nick
always says, and Nick's been MIA, he's doing stuff, but Nick always says we don't believe in coincidences, and I don't believe in coincidences either. What I do believe though is that a lot of this stuff is going to start to wind down a bit or turn down a notch.
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
I think the imagery, promotion of evil images, kind of knocking of people's faith, I think that's going to turn down a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I think, yeah.
And
right.
I think because certain media outlets, organizations, companies, production companies, they're starting to see, based on certain results that we've had in the last few weeks, without going too far into it, I think they saw that a majority of the people are kind of tired of some of the stuff. Now, to each his own. I'm one of those guys that I have friends of every nationality. I have friends that they like their same sex. They classify or identify as whatever they want, and I have no problem with it. If you want to be happy and that's what makes you happy, by all means. Personally, I don't have a problem with any of that. What I do have a problem is if you're trying to promote that to people's like kids, you know, this is where I would draw the line. Like you have a kid and you put them in school and they start to teach that. You may not want your kid to learn that because it goes against your religion. And I think that if it goes against your religion and if that's your kid, it should be left out of the classroom and the parent's responsibility to say whether or not they want them to learn that. There could be after school programs where we have whatever class and then the parents make the decision, oh, but they're teaching that after class for extracurricular activity, or have the option in schools to be like, oh, this class is going to be going on from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and you as a parent have the option to put your kid in that class to participate.
As long as there's transparency from the Board of Education, because sometimes they're not even going so far, like, oh, they're not even telling the parents, oh, we're just going to do this, because it's the curriculum of New York State. I think that
is wrong.
That's very wrong. I don't agree with that either.
I think that is wrong.
They slip it in, and that's something that goes against the wishes of the parents.
Right.
And, you know, COVID, was...
No, you could say COVID.
Okay.
Especially because we're on YouTube. You just can't include it in conspiracy.
Okay, I was going to say is that it woke up a lot of people in the context, like, wait a minute, you're teaching my children what?
I think that parents need to know what's being taught. And at the end of the day, schools have a job is to teach. And parents, that is your kid. At the end of the day, it's always family first. To me, family always comes first. It's going to supersede work. It's going to supersede friends. And my kids are going to always come first, no matter what. I don't care.
And that message is coming back. You're right, because when you said they're going to ease up on, you know, attacking I don't think they're going to stop attacking the Christian faith because it's like their punching bag, but they're easing up on family values because that new Apple ad. Did you see that?
It actually. I watched it and I actually kind of got teared up a little bit.
Oh yeah, a lot of fathers with daughters have.
I have a daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just going to say, I have a daughter. And it hit me because that's something that me and my lady talk about. That she's growing up so fast.
Yeah. And it flashes before your eyes.
And I saw that commercial of the father who couldn't hear well. It was the AirPod commercial.
Yes.
And he's seeing his daughter open the guitar and play it in front of him. And he's having flashbacks to when she was little. And I just kind of like sat back a little bit and thinking of conversations that me and my lady are having. I'm like, ooh.
Yes. But you see, like that's a complete 180 from what they were doing just a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're easing up on that idea, like, oh, we need to like attack the nuclear family. You know, we got to be progressive, and we got to have these, you know, very, very far left radical ideas. I think, like you said, what happened this past few weeks is telling to the people in their ideological bubbles that, you know, maybe we weren't right about this.
I think it's okay. Again, I'm liberal on this because I have tons of friends and even family. I do. I have families that have these viewpoints and don't love them any less, don't love them any more. I feel that you could do what makes you happy. But when you come to me and say, well, you should do this, I'll just say, no, thanks. That's it. Yeah. You can't beg or try to say that you're wrong. And when it comes to a place where it's learning, or the big screen where everyone is going to come. Now the big screen is a little tricky.
Yes, it is.
It's tricky because you want to cater. You want to cater to everybody.
But also, like with art, you cannot have any type of ideology, left or right, because it's art. And the second you put ideology above art, you're no longer making art. You're making propaganda for the state. You know what I mean? So, like, as an artist, you don't want to either go this way. Just tell a good story, you know?
Yeah, I think movies should tell a good story and include whatever they want to include. But when you push something that people are having backlash about, first of all, the backlash is taken as it's hate. It's hate. It's hate. No, it's not hate. It's concern, right? What did we see in the last couple of months leading up to the big result of what we just had? It was hate. It was hate. No one had a valid conversation with concern. It was hate, accusations that were false, just pure hate, bogus allegations that were even debunked by websites like Snopes. Okay, with a certain year, project debunked. You know what I mean? Like, you're spewing hate and not having a valid conversation, which actually hurt somebody. It's probably why they didn't do better, because they got pummeled. Because you didn't sit there and talk about what you're going to do. You're not sitting there talking about the issues at hand, while the other person was. And that's why the results happened the way they did. And many people, as stated in those results, shown that one person wasn't having a conversation or a concern when they were able to be in the limelight by a lot of Hollywood. While the other person was, they were saying things they shouldn't have said, stupid things. That's just him. But at the same token of saying those stupid things, he addressed what is going on to the people, the middle of the totality of the United States. Because the United States has people that are doing very, very well. And that percentage is very small. Majority of the United States is that middle line. Mm-hmm. And then, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are on the low end, and there's a lot of them that aren't doing well. And those people came to the middle and were like, oh, it's not good. And that's what you saw. Conversation pieces were all about hate, not concern. And if it was tackled a different way, honestly speaking, the results, in my opinion, would have been entirely different. But because that person spewed hateful rhetoric back, untruthful statements, and didn't take the time to have the conversation people wanted to hear or answer the questions, instead just word salading things out, that is the reason why.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it was funny to watch some of that.
But that's the truth. Don't hate me for it. I'm literally.
Well, I mean, it's so bad that you watch these things. Are you serious? You know what I mean? Did you really just say that?
I did.
It got to that point.
I saw it. I watched everything.
But you watch some of these people on the news, and you're just like, did you really just say that?
Again, every election so far, there's been someone that I wanted to vote for, and that person has either they dropped out or got beat out or endorsed another person. I swear to God, 2016 was going to vote for someone else, did her dirty. 2020 did the same person dirty, and 2024, person I wanted ended up endorsing the person that won. So if you're going to sit here and say, oh, he's a, no, I'm really not. I'm actually a person that. Yeah,
I like him too. The guy who got, sidestepped. He's making some claims that I think are very true. I see it in my own life, with the switches I've made with my own diet and what I've been taking into account and seeing better results, less pain in my joints, just from simple switches of eating something as simple as a whole food, meaning that it's a pepper. There's no other ingredient.
Pepper.
It's a banana. That's it.
That's going to be an episode that you're going to want to.
I would love to, because I've been on this. I've dropped 30 pounds so far in the past few months, but a lot of that was just pretty much eating whole foods. That's it.
2025, when we begin season 6, it's going to be one of the episodes because of what he has to be nominated. He's nominated, but he has to be, I guess,
confirmed by the Senate.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But
if he gets in,
that's going to be an episode that I want to talk about, because a lot of people don't like him now, which is, to me, is ironic.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
You know what I mean?
Considering everything his family went through.
Yeah, that's and that's because he swayed towards that side now. Yeah. So it's full on hate for him, which is mind boggling to me, because he's actually trying
to stand up to corruption. He's actually trying
to better people's health.
Yeah.
Health.
Yeah.
Like I read a report the other day. It wasn't a report. It was something on one of the shows. The New York Times was like, all his statements are not true, you know. And then they listed all the things that were in this particular food item.
Fruit Loops. It was Fruit Loops.
Yeah, that they would. And
the ones in France had these many items,
and the New York Times,
Canada, that was it.
The New York Times listed all the ingredients.
Yeah, but he said there was 10 and there's 8. But he said the same thing.
But going through the ingredients, they were like the people on this TV show were like, "Yeah, you proved him wrong."
Yeah, no.
Like, no, you didn't. You just like really
you just verified what he said.
You verified everything he just said.
Thanks.
You know, so that's something that we're going to do in January. Like,
nice.
Because we've had a bodybuilder come on and talk about health and all the social media stuff, and we're going to talk about that as well. And that's something that you should come on and talk about. And I'm trying to get another bodybuilder on, if not the same guy, to come on and talk about what he thinks that individual is going to do if he gets, you know, regardless of the fact he's going to have some kind of affiliation with health. Regardless if
I hope so.
I think they're going to do the right thing.
I hope so. I hope so because you know they're smearing him in the press because they don't want him there. They do not want him there.
You just look at his name and you could just say, you know, it looks bad if they don't even. You know what I mean?
That does look bad because you know his father and his uncle sacrificed their lives for this country, and you're going to just do an about face and say no. We're going to go against you now because we don't agree with the things you're saying. Like not even to hear him out. Like there are reporters who completely cut him off. Like there's this one woman, I'm not going to say her name, she's a podcast there. She pretty much shut him down when he started talking about the things that we all had to either get or not get and comply. Mm-hmm. But
those dastardly things.
The things. But he was talking about that and she shut him off like, no, you're wrong. And you know, she pretty much steamrolled the guy. But she's part of that core media that was from the left trying to say, like, oh, no, like, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to be real with you. But meanwhile, she's going to do this. And everyone else bashed her for it.
Talking to a person. I'm not saying this individual is not intelligent or intelligent. He's very intelligent. But I was talking about that in whole, in conjunction. He said, you don't know nothing about them. I'm like, I worked in a hospital for 15 years. Kind of know a thing or two. Even though I didn't work directly in the medical field per se, I had direct affiliation, and my job was around medicine. So you start learning because you're doing things with that medicine. And he's like, okay, so tell me how it works. And I told him, he's like, yeah, but that, I'm like, and then we talked about that thing, and I was like, yeah, it was kind of rushed. And he was like, no, it wasn't. I was like, yeah, it was. And it's almost the same conversation I had with one of my friends. And I told him word for word things that were going to happen. And then when it did happen, he's like, yeah, but, you know, and then trying to explain to me. Like, you're trying to explain something to me that I already predicted. So you can't really explain, so I was right. So now you're trying to butter up the, you know what I mean? Like
we saw that a lot in these past 4 years,
you
know, with a lot of things. And this is why people say this is indicative of another time that happened during World War II. You know, people didn't believe that was happening in Germany. People would make excuses for that party in Germany in the 30s, where they was, they're not doing that. They're doing this. They're not doing that. They wouldn't do that, and they justified it. And then people always wonder, like, how could they have done that to those people during that time? Well, you're looking at it because people do not want their worldview to crash, so they will justify, like that person justified to you, and say, oh, that's not happening. It's this.
It's like we're the category of the subject today we're talking about. Well, Hollywood's not doing that. Man, they are.
Yeah, man.
Because they subliminally. So we go back. My favorite one this past couple of years was when Sound of Freedom came out. And we were talking about that. Sound of Freedom came out, and the headlines instantly was like, "It's a conservative dad's wet dream," which is something I mentioned in the TikTok video that got taken down, ironically. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why is it labeled that when the movie is based on something that is actually happening? There's tons of videos.
So we all should be concerned with that, regardless of political affiliation.
Exactly. That's our children.
Yeah.
So that's
the future of America.
So if you're one side of the party, and you want your kids to learn certain things and fine, whatever. But you're wanting to do that for your kid because you see that is better for them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But you have no concern over this movie that is actually taking factual things, telling it in a movie, and you're just like, no, it's, you know, we're going to label that a conservative dad's wet dream. That's concerning. It's a concerning thing that should open up people's eyes and want to stop it from happening. And when one side of political party, one side says is making statements like that and mocking it, and that same side of the party is heavily affiliated with Hollywood, it makes you wonder, well, they're saying that's a bad movie and it's a conservative dad's wet dream, and then Hollywood's is the one kind of bashing because they gave that movie a hard time. A lot of conspiracies with that movie. Like movie theaters were malfunctioning, and the ACs weren't working, and those were just things that were. Some
of that is also the bigger fish in the pond, kind of like elbowing them in the gut, being like, you didn't go through the system, so we kind of want to take a jab at you. Like, don't watch their movie. You didn't come through Paramount. I didn't come through Disney.
Rotten Tomato gave it.
Yeah, and that's. They were getting paid $50 per
review,
positive endorsement for a film.
They were giving them bad reviews. You look at the audience scores. So to me, I don't look at Rotten Tomato.
I don't care about any type of critic anymore.
For the critic scores, I look at for the audience score.
But that's the thing. We're learning to make our own opinion now.
Another movie. What do you think I'm going to say?
Recently, that just came out?
That they gave a terrible review. Great movie. Totally fictitious. Based on things in the Catholic faith.
Nefarious?
Yeah,
oh yeah. They panned that. I saw that opening day. I was like, it's actually a good movie.
Bombed the movie. Audience scores, crazy. The actors in that movie, phenomenal.
Yeah, that guy I told you never saw Boondock Saints, but that was a good movie.
That's the brother.
That's one of the brothers from Boondock
Norman
Saints.
Reedus' brother.
Yes. You phenomenal job with that.
Crazy. I mean, he played that role insane. And why the critics bombed it is because what the demon in that movie, and spoiler alert, movie's 2 years old now, I think.
Just about.
The demon in the movie was spitting like facts.
Yeah, I remember seeing that like in the middle of the day, and there was these two women in front of me. There's another one up there, and like she must have been religious because she was like, yep, you tell them. Mm-hmm.
Bomb that movie. But then Wicked with the, and then another thing about Wicked is, did you see, we can't say, so I learned this, can't say the actor because we're on video now. You can't say the actor's whole name.
Okay.
But the singer who is playing, I guess, not
the Good Witch, the Glenda.
Yeah, I don't know how this movie's
Glenda the Good Witch.
Yeah, I don't know how. Like, I didn't know if they were going with the whole. I don't care. I don't mind watching it. But whoever she's
again, this is not the demographic. Is not us,
right? So it's she's playing whatever, and then the Wicked Witch of the West is playing another. Right. When they signed up for these roles, now you're an actor. You have to be asked to drop weight, put weight on, whatever. They looked really good, both actresses, right? After the movie was done, they are sickly looking.
Oh yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
I watched a video the other day where somebody came into the room and they're both there, both actresses, and they're like, one actress who played the witch was saying something, and the other actress, the singer, was kind of like robotic, like almost piggybacking off of what she was saying, but in unison, like she was almost like, so my lady was watching it and she was like, something's not right with her, the Wicked Witch, like the actress.
I think some of that is like,
she said these exact words. She says, it's almost as if she has a hold over her, the singer. Like there's some kind of dark.
I don't know which one you watched, but I watched one where they were both, honestly, they seemed high. Like they took a few antidepressants, they got on camera and they were just riffing. And you get to a point, there's a point, I think they're at the top, those two, top of the world. Nobody tells you no. Everybody's at your beck and call. And I think they say more on what there's on their mind when you have everybody yesing you to death. So psychologically, it's not good to be famous just because your worldview becomes very warped
So
like you don't want to get to. You do not want that.
So Rio Grande. I could say,
Okay.
I could say that Rio Grande.
Yeah, Rio Grande.
They there's never ever any negative spotlight with them.
Her?
Yeah, no, like there's zero. There was never.
She's got a few. That thing with that donut, where she threw the donut at that guy, or she stole it. One of them.
Yeah, but
And she stole someone's man recently. Guy had a wife and kids.
That's like 1990s.
No, this was like a year ago.
No. I'm saying what she did is very similar to the common things that were done in 1990s with actresses.
Oh yeah, that's the run of the mill.
This
like
is not
tabloid
stuff
you find
like,
in the store.
Yeah, this is not like controversy from 2016 onward. Like, oh my God, I can't believe like where me and you are like, that's going on. Like, you haven't heard any like, she's pro this, she's pro that. She's none of that with her. She's very, I think she was like was she a Disney?
She was on Disney for a while.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's another thing. Another documentary that came out with not only just Disney, but the Nickelodeon stuff. Again,
She was part of that.
cameras,
She was part of that life.
production, all this nasty negative stuff that's going on. And then they put these messages out there in billboards.
And you're talking about specifically the one where it does look like it's mimicking the Sistine Chapel.
I'm pulling it up on the screen for people, and you know, here's the Wicked photo, right? And then here's the billboard picture. I mean, here's the Wicked photo, right? And then here's the Michelangelo painting from the Sistine Chapel. You tell me that doesn't look.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, and you're right. You're 100% right. Here's the thing, though.
It could be just coincidence.
No, it's not. It's not. You're right. You're right. However, this has been going on for a very long time. You know, like I'm not. Look at the Joker, right?
Part 2,
Part 1.
Part 1 with Joaquin.
Yes. Todd Phillips, right?
Okay.
You don't.
Almost said his name.
Yeah. You don't. Do you like the Joker, the first one?
I did. I actually did.
He's a villain, right?
Yeah.
But they told the story in a certain way where you can say to yourself, you don't agree with him killing anyone. However, you understand that there's an idea there that this guy is getting beaten up by the system. So he's mentally unfit. You have the people, his social worker saying, we can't help you anymore because there's not enough money. You go to his job and that guy's always messing with him. And he gives him a gun, and he's like, here. And, you know, he drops it, and he gets fired. If you get fired, they're not giving you services. His mother was a little off her rocker as well. So I guess she might have had schizophrenia herself and passed it to her son. She's lying to him his whole life. She's telling him, that's your father. He goes there and he's like, who the hell are you? So somebody, you can identify with the idea that all of these circumstances can happen to somebody on one day like that or in a short period where the guy just snaps. You don't say that you condone killing, but you understand that there's an idea there that like this could happen. Potentially you can identify with those themes, right? This happened, I think, in the Phantom of the Opera too, the play, where the guy is seen as like, you know, a malevolent force, but he's not. He's somebody who was a victim of something. This is the same tact that they're taking where they're taking an old story like The Wizard of Oz.
V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta, right? Like the guy is standing up against the system, right? He was a guy who was oppressed by the system. They tested on him. They did all these things, and he came back with a vengeance. This is the same line. So we talked about the artistic integrity where you don't want to choose a side. They're telling you, you know, I think this is in line with more that than anything else. It's more like, all right, they had an interpretation here. This is, and you know, I looked into this, The Wicked, because I didn't know too much about it. So Frank L. Baum didn't write any of this. The books came out in 1900 and has nothing to do with this. So the Wicked story was written in 1995 by this guy who saw that these books were in the public domain now, and he can pretty much use the characters for whatever he wanted. So 95, he writes this book, and then it blew up, and then 2000 or 2001 came, and then they started doing the play. So this has been around for a while, and they always had the intention to do the movie. I've heard that this movie it's you and I are not the demographic. I'm not going to go see it. You're not going to go see it. But I think it's appealing to the base, like Barbie appealed to a base. Made $1 billion. You and I might not agree with the the feminist narratives in there and what they're saying. Same with this, but this is the art that they're choosing to display. I don't think there's anything, wicked, so to speak, about it. This is their artistic interpretation. The characters I heard were very well drawn. The Wicked Witch of the West comes in, and she's not really being treated with respect, and she has this power that she chooses to use. She doesn't choose to use it, but when it comes out, the other ones look at her like, "Oh, you have that power," and then she uses it, I think, to help somebody, and then the girl. The Rio Grande singer comes in and tells her, like, hey, you have this power, I'll help you, and they become friends. So you're right that they are doing that, because that's the whole thing. When The Wizard of Oz came out, the Wicked Witch of the West, she was that villain. And now they just told you a new story, and that's the idea of switching it, that, maybe she's not really wicked. Maybe there's some more to her story. And that's good character development. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's something that a lot of people tried to do in Reels. There's a lot of Instagrammers and podcasters that take the original Wizard of Oz story and say, was the Wicked Witch really the bad guy in the movie? And I just watched something the other day because the movie Wicked is out, so people are doing that now. The fairy godmother or the other queen or whatever told Dorothy subliminally she could have gone home to begin with. She used Dorothy to kill the Wicked Witch. The Wicked Witch's sister was killed, and
and even the wizard in the film is like, he's kind of not the guy he's supposed to be,
right?
Right, in the original.
So to making these clever twists, again, it may be a good movie. It's not our demographic. It's not for us, but something that I caught in the imagery.
Yeah, you're not wrong. To the extent of what you mean. Like, I think they're the wrong people. Let me rephrase that. I think two things could be true at once.
I also think maybe even the rest of the movie, because I'm never going to see it and I haven't heard anything since, but they put that picture and that may just be it. And I can be overreaching. You know what I mean?
No, but you are right. Like, they did attempt to do that.
Very similar.
They tried to do that.
Right.
But I don't think it was because it's in line with the story. Like they're trying to tell you that maybe she's not actually bad by doing that, Right. So
I besides from that, just in general, a lot of movies have come out and have been posting and putting a lot of things into it that are just like, why put that in? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think we're losing, you said it, in a few years, Hollywood will be completely done.
Obsolete.
But
they did it to themselves.
I mean, look at Netflix now. I mean, and Hulu, Paramount, look at Max, what they did.
Well, they have that new show, The Penguin, which is doing very well.
I was just going to tell you, I haven't watched it yet. I
saw the first 2 episodes. But here's the thing. I'll cut you off, but that show is an example of, they told you a story about a villain. He doesn't change his character. Like, he's the asshole. Throughout the entire show, you kind of like you're on his side, kind of like you're on a gangster side, but like you see like
he's bad.
He's an asshole, and he's going to do what he can to save himself before anything. They made no qualms about that.
Right. So I haven't watched it yet. I'm hopefully have some time coming up that I could maybe lay back and want to throw on a couple episodes. Heard it was very well. Mm-hmm. The Batman mm-hmm. with Twilight guy. Mm-hmm. First off, did you watch it?
I didn't like it.
Really?
Because it was overblown. You had too much going on for one film. And I found myself like checking my watch. Like, is this thing over yet? Because you're not telling me a story. You're like, that guy writes TV very well. For that, they should have made a Batman TV show and incorporated just the Penguin arc, because you underutilized the Penguin in the movie. You did him justice in the TV show, but then you also had the Riddler, which I didn't like that interpretation of the Riddler. I'd rather him be more of like a Hannibal Lecter type of smart, intelligent killer, as opposed to this guy in his basement and like, oh, I'm gonna get you from his keyboard.
Did you read the comics at all with Batman?
I read all of the Bane comics.
Bane, okay.
Yes.
So what I liked about this, and I always liked Batman, Superman when it came to DC. always liked them. Those were the top two. And then when I discovered Green Arrow, very similar to Bruce Wayne, I like, the Green Arrow. Booster Gold, he's a cool character. When it comes to Marvel, it's always going to be Gambit. And that was really it. Wolverine, Spider-Man, whatever, Daredevil. But Superman and Batman, growing up, when I discovered the animated series.
Oh, yeah, that was incredibly done.
Incredibly
to this day,
done.
It stands up.
Never, I don't think now I could say this is made for kids. You'd have to be above 8 or 10 to watch those.
Yeah.
They were dark.
Yeah.
The animated series.
I remember being like 12, 11.
Yeah, they were
those.
very, very good. I watched it.
Very good.
Whenever it came on, I'm like, I'm watching this. It was very good. Got me into Batman. Started doing all. Batman is known as the Caped Crusader, the Dark Knight, and what else? The world's greatest detective.
That was like I think the first inception of the comic was he was that was the title,
exactly.
like world's greatest detective.
That's
his superpower. He's intelligent.
He's very,
very
intelligent. When Batman came onto the scene, he was a detective. He was a problem solver. He was the Gotham Police Department couldn't solve it. He came and he solved it. That's what he did. In this movie, we've seen many interpretations of Batman. Okay? We've seen the realistic rich guy through Christian Bale, where he had all the equipment, he can get hurt, he can do all these things, even though the equipment was like, come on, he's got something like that. We've seen that interpretation. We've seen Ben Affleck's interpretation, which people said he was good, he was bad. Personally, the warehouse scene was the best, hands down, interpretation of how Batman is supposed to fight. When he goes to save Martha Kent from the guy that's holding him captive in the warehouse. How he fought in the warehouse is exactly how Batman is supposed to fight. He wasn't stiff. He was throwing kicks, jumping over boxes, using his instruments, using his gadgets. He was effing people up in the warehouse scene. I was like, this right here is the best Batman fight scene I've ever seen, hands down. So Ben Affleck, fighting aspect, takes the cake on that. Christian Bale, this is all my opinion. Christian Bale, realistically, best interpretation. Now, when it comes to, I said the actor's name, whatever. But the dude from Twilight,
yeah.
What's his name? I already said Christian Bale. So what is it?
Robert Pattinson.
We're not gonna get whatever. Robert Pattinson.
Pattinson.
Even though he played Bruce Wayne terribly, and
he did.
I think he played Bruce Wayne terribly. But then when you read the director, this is supposed to be like
year one.
Batman,
that's
year
a comic
two,
line.
yeah, year
one.
two. Yeah, I actually watched the animated cartoon of him coming up, and he's young, and he's
they did allude. I liked his Batman. I didn't like his Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I liked his Batman. His Bruce Wayne was a little too
autistic,
emoji,
no, but this guy
emo.
he had some type. Yes, he had some type of social awkwardness that I didn't like. That's not Bruce Wayne.
They also changed the story for the father.
I didn't like that either.
Yeah, they changed that his father was affiliated with mob stuff, things like that.
But
that's
the progressive narrative that they started to wheedle in there, and that's when you get the feminist Catwoman in there as well, through her.
Right. Now, what I did like was that he was solving. He was not just going out there and fighting and using gadgets. He was trying to solve why the Riddler was going after each and every individual in the movie. The movie started out...
But here's the thing, do that in a TV show, because you had me checking my watch, because this is too long to condense into one film.
Very long movie.
Do that in a TV show, and you can get me invested 7 episodes, 8 episodes, even 20. If you want to do that, you have the Penguin, the entire show, right? Let him solve that mystery. Let him do that. Let him be world's greatest. You can even title it Batman, World's Greatest Detective, and do that TV show. But to do that on film, you told me too much. Where you're boring me now, because you got to check in with the Riddler. You got to check in with the Penguin. You have to check in with Catwoman. You have to check in with Batman. Then he's got to talk to this one. You had too many subplots going on for one movie.
Yeah. I agree.
That was my only knock. Again, I liked his Batman. I didn't like his Bruce Wayne. I liked the Penguin, unrecognizable. I was a question. Is that him? Is that Colin Farrell? I was like, holy shit. But only one I didn't like was Zoe Kravitz in Catwoman. I think they could have went in a completely different direction. But outside of that, I thought the mob aspect was good. It's just you told me too many things at once.
Yeah, it was 2 hours and 30 something minutes.
I think it's longer than that. I think it was like 250. It's closer to 3 hours.
It was a long movie. I remember being in the movie. They're like, "Yo, this is a long movie," but I did enjoy it. But we're never going to see a TV show of Batman. Superman, they've done it. They've done Smallville. They've done.
It's interesting because they've done so many for Superman, but they haven't done so many for Batman.
Don't know why. I think you're right. It would make a good TV show if they did it dark. They kind of like ended off where the last episode of Gotham. Mm-hmm. He's in the building dressed as Batman finally.
Yeah, they did Gotham, but he's not even in it.
And no, he is. He
but
was
as
Bruce
a small
Wayne.
boy, right?
And then he gets older, and then towards the end of the show, he's on. They look up, and you actually see for the first time on a TV show, you see Batman in the suit, and he looked kind of like Christian Bale Batman. They did it well. I was like, that would have been good. They do a TV show.
Well, I don't know why, but they seemed more confident into doing the animated ones than they were to telling a live action one. Because you got Batman Beyond, you had the animated series.
That's something I'd like to see on the big screen.
You had The Brave and the Bold that came out in the 2000s, early 2000s, and then you had this new one that was dog shit. The one with the female penguin. Did you hear about Oswald the Cobblepot?
I did. I don't know why
he was on Amazon Prime. It was so shitty that Warner Brothers like, we're not going to put this on HBO Max. Amazon, you could take it. We'll sell it to you.
I actually watched all the cartoons, and they did give a big like. It was not close, but it was similar to the originals on how dark it was, the storylines and stuff like that. Not getting into it here on the podcast. There was some things not get into it, but did I enjoy it? I would say out of
which one are you talking about?
The new one.
The newer one?
Yeah,
that's garbage.
I'm
sorry, I don't agree with you.
It was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it was okay.
Even the animation style. You did better animation in the '90s with the animated series than you did this.
This was true, but it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I
just didn't like the idea that you're just gonna gender swap the Oswald the Cobblepot.
You know what? I don't always.
And then she's walking around saying she's the hottest thing, sliced bread. Like, you kind of look like a penguin.
I don't agree with that swapping genders and certain.
Why do that? You know what I mean? Everybody knows.
And then the rebuttal is, well, we got to give this. Fine, that you do, but make a new character.
Again, it all comes down. Just tell a dope story.
Yeah, tell a dope story. I have seen swaps that did work.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I've
it's worked in the past.
I've seen a lot of swaps that did work, and I was like, yo, I'm okay with this because, like you said, the story was good. You know what I mean?
Even like you talking about Bruce, Christian Bale's Batman being the good one, the good, like the one that's more realistic. He had a very good script to work with because Christopher Nolan's a very good writer. The story was taken care of.
Just the voice.
Yeah, that one was. I don't know what he was doing with that, but
me and my coworker, we have a joke with that. Where is she?
Yeah. But he benefited from having a good writer. Yeah, any acting teacher worth his weight in gold would tell you that if you have a very good writer, half your work's already done.
Yeah. I rest in peace, Heath Ledger. I firmly believe that if he never passed away, third movie, Joker would have been back in it.
Probably.
And it would have been like kick-ass third movie.
Yeah.
They would have included Joker in a couple of scenes, like, halfway through the movie.
I actually just rewatched that recently.
Second one?
Yeah. Amazing performance.
Yeah.
Amazing performance.
Crushed it. He crushed it.
Yeah. I remember going into that thinking, like, this guy from Knight's Tale? It's kind of similar from The Twilight Kid.
I watched that movie and I was like, yo, dude, he killed that movie. Like
incredible.
And what he did to get himself into the role and like sat with the lines and like he would not even be filming yet and they'd be like, yo, Heath, you ready? And he'd be like, you're talking to me? Like, like in character.
You gotta get comfortable in it. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you are to just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to do his impersonation. It was so infatuated with that movie. Like doing Joker impersonation.
I remember seeing it walking out of the theater. I was like, that was insane.
Yeah.
Like I remember thinking that. I was like, even the music was like, this is like, you felt the anarchy he instilled in people. I remember thinking like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
Wait, when he did the Jaleel White, Michael Jaleel White.
What do you mean?
Spawn. How he got them to
Oh,
fight.
yes. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Like we're having tryouts. Make it quick.
Yeah, make it quick. Yeah, dude.
But even like there are scenes where he's just laughing and he's like playing with his hair and he's by himself. All these scenes like this, in the music that are kind of like screechy violin. While he's, like I was like, oh my god, this is like a really interesting movie.
One of the I actually have a ringtone on my phone from The Dark Knight. One of the songs. And when my boss calls me, that's his ringtone because it's like an intense. Like I'll play it for you after the show. But so to end off the imagery of Hollywood, it's been very dark stuff. We've seen it, shots on faith, things like that. Going forward, because this is something that I've asked you in the last few years. By the way, in the next few weeks, we're going to do when you come back, because I know you got plans. We're doing a 4-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah,
nice.
4 years.
4 years already. Wow,
doing the podcast.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, finally in the end of the 3rd year, we finally get onto video.
Nice.
Yeah. Late start,
It's
but
a process.
It's a process. Yeah. I didn't realize it was kind of. I'm not saying it's easy to editing because I'm the only one that does everything.
Keep it small. Keep it small.
Tedious, dude. Editing this and now with the video and then doing the reels. It's it's out of the 7-day week, 2 of the days are like consumed with doing that. But we're gonna do like a big get together, just free roam episode.
Okay, nice.
And we'd love to have you come on.
Absolutely,
Yeah, that's gonna be. We're gonna have coquito.
All right,
We're gonna drink here on video.
Okay.
It's gonna be a wild one.
Cool.
We'll talk about who knows.
All right.
It's just gonna be titled "Happy Birthday, Happy 4th Birthday SWAB Podcast," something like that.
Okay, sounds good, man.
Where do you see Hollywood going into 2025?
Oh man. Well, here's the thing. A lot of things are going to be held over for 2025 because of those strikes that happened 2 years ago.
Right.
So they're going to be backed up for another few years in terms of like what they're releasing because they greenlit a lot of stuff that still is like back ordered. You're going to see less big budget films, and the ones that are going to come out you're really not going to like because you're still dealing with 2022, 2021 where we were at the height of like the woke stuff. So you're going to see that stuff still come out and you're going to be like, what the hell is this? Because it's not going anywhere. You're still going to see the trickling out. It's going to trickle out by 2030, maybe. But by then, like I said, YouTube is taking people's attention. TikTok, all these social media apps are vying for attention from these young kids where you might see, them go either they go back to making smaller pictures with smaller budgets and do like 20 of those at 2 million as opposed to one for 500 million and it doing terribly because then you're making better film. You're taking more chances to make more money as opposed to one chance. And then you're saying, like you said, what happened a few weeks ago, they were completely shocked that happened. A lot of them were like, how did this happen? If you bank on that one movie and say, oh, this is great, and you're going to say, how does this happen? Well, take more chances and diversify, because the comic book is dying. Comic book hero.
I'm over it.
I'm too. I don't care no more. I don't care.
I'm over it.
Like I told you, I watched the first 2 episodes of Penguin just because, it's interesting. I didn't watch the end of it. It's good.
It's good.
I just don't care no more. I just don't care. You did that to me.
The superhero thing is it's too far now. It's its own.
It's like the Western, right? When the Western hit the tail end of its life, they made comedies out of it. That's where you see Deadpool. Naturally, it is a comedy, but this is the tail end of a genre that's been taking hold for the past 20 years, right?
The last Western I seen was like modernized with.
I saw Costner's new one, Kevin Costner's Horizon. The one where he left Yellowstone to do this. It's not bad, but I mean, it's kind of like an homage to what it was. There's no genre for it.
I think the one I saw was a remake, Magnificent Seven.
Oh yeah, I watched the original.
The original. I didn't see the original.
Yul Brynner.
I saw the remake and I was like, whatever. I saw my Western.
Yul Brynner's the man. Watch that.
So that was the last Western I watched. I just think that the comic book thing needs to come to either a slowdown, like let people miss it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then put something back.
Yeah.
But there's just too much. And then like the whole revamp of the DC universe with Kevin Feige. Is it?
Yeah.
He's going in here.
That's
and
Marvel.
He's taking in. Yeah. He went to DC now, and he's
James Gunn. That's James Gunn.
James Gunn. I'm sorry. He's
doing Superman. He's doing the whatever the hell he's doing, but nobody cares. Nobody cares.
The Peacemaker.
I think.
I That was hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly like that.
Right.
I wouldn't
A lot
mind.
of people liked it. Yeah.
That was very, very good. Even though the opening intro was like just hysterical.
He's very good, but he's like a one-trick pony in the sense that a lot of his movies are that like campy.
Take that one trick and give me a season 2. I'll watch it. I
Because
actually
he did the same with Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? Like he's very he's got that campy 1980s vibe to him, which is good.
John?
James Gunn.
No, okay. I'm talking about John Cena and Peacemaker.
Oh yeah. But no, I'm talking about the guy who wrote these things and who's directing them. And he's now like the coordinator for all of DC. He's got this vibe where he's campy, he's fun, loving type of guy. Like it's good. But again, I'm just sick of comics.
Yeah,
I'm sick of all of it. I want some. You know what's big in a big comeback right now? Horror films are coming back a lot. We'll talk about it later. But Nosferatu, Robert Eggers, who wrote The Northman, did all of that. This I heard it comes out Christmas Day, which is like a month. Black and white. You know the original Nosferatu from the vampire film, but this is strictly horror. This is not like you see how newer horror films kind of go after like thriller, like anticipation. This is not that. This is like straight horror again.
Look how good the that movie did with the clown.
Terrifier 3. I think.
Terrifier.
Yeah. Look. See. Because people want that. They want new. They want something new.
I heard it's just crazy.
And it's not. They're not pushing an agenda. They're just telling you a dope story.
It's a dope
Keep
story.
it simple. Just do dope shit.
What's the clown's name in that?
Art the Clown.
Art the Clown.
Yeah.
Dude, I was just watching clips of it. I was like, dude, this is just straight up gore. Like, with a story.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy story because it takes from movie 1 to movie 3. Like, he's just an average dude. And he becomes like a demon-esque clown. And it's
Do you
crazy.
ask me what's going to happen in Hollywood? They're going to take a back seat to independent creators like that, who are willing to take a chance on who will be self-funded or crowd-funded through either an app where you can garner support from the crowd, or you can get your own private investors. But you're going to see Hollywood take a back seat because they're too ideologically rigid and they refuse to change because they think they're ultimately right. And at the end of the day, that's what they want to do. Just be prepared to take a back seat to independent minds who love film and who want to get out there and make their own work.
In closing, I honestly think what Hollywood should start doing is, number one, at night, I don't watch movies. I don't even watch reruns or anything like that. Once in a blue, I can't tell you the last time I put a movie on and was like, I'm going to watch this movie. Honestly, I watch YouTube and I watch Reels and TikTok and Instagram because it's got content that I know my algorithms are going to find, and I watch it.
Yeah.
I think what Hollywood should do is do like these polls, or grab people. Like I don't know what the term is for it.
Marketing.
Just grab random people. Surveys. You know what I mean? Grab
marketing
people.
surveys. Yeah.
Ask them questions like, what do you want to see on the big screen? What would you like to see on TV? What's like, get the input from just regular people.
Or just hire, actual people with a resume. Because you know what they did, some of these bigger studios? Because they're so ideologically driven, they took people from Tumblr and from like social media who never made a movie before and said, all right, you're going to direct this film because we can control you, but you have the right politics. Stop doing that. Hire people who love movies. Hire people who love the craft of making film regardless of ideological slant, and invest in the storytelling. That's what you're here for. You're not here to preach to us. You're not here to tell us you need to do this. Just tell us a dope story. That's it. And you know where they're shooting themselves in the foot? And if they do this, it'll help. So the music industry, it's kind of like in limbo just as much as film right now. And I think video games are going to go the same way. It's because everything went digital. The second everything went digital for music, everything became cheap and disposable. Streaming is the cheap whore of cinema. That's my stance on it. Right? It's content. It's not film. It's not art. It's like McDonald's, right? And they know that, and they're trying to compete with YouTube, which is content, but it's self-made content, right? So you can do that, and there's billions of uploads a day. You cannot compete with the YouTube. You cannot, and they're trying to with these streaming services because you will never have enough content. You will never have enough original content for that. What they need to do is acquiesce, right? Concede that Netflix won the streaming wars. Disney Plus should be deleted. Hulu, Peacock, and all these other ones should not exist. Just have Netflix. Go back to the theater and make your movies for the theaters. You see these new popcorn buckets that come up for every film now?
Yeah, every film.
That is incredible. Do that.
Started with Dune.
Yes.
And now it's everything.
Do that. because it'll bring people back just for the novelty of going. You make it an experience again to go back to the theater, and then once you made your money in the theater for like 4 or 5 months, do not put it anywhere, because you see how they say like it comes out on a Tuesday, 2 weeks later it's on Amazon Prime. Don't do that,
dude.
Don't do that.
No joke. 2 weeks.
Don't do that. Go back to making this exclusive content, because you're making this cheap. You're making this McDonald's where it could just be thrown away. I know for a fact that if you do that, and if you start making people go back to the theaters, and there's a market for 4K movies, 'cause I buy a lot of them. If you do that, and then at the last moment, when it's like a year later or 6 months later, then you make a deal with Netflix and say, we're going to license this to you for 6 months. You can have it. And you make a deal like that. And then you put it on video on demand on Amazon Prime. And then you say individual sales like that. Plus you also make 4K Blu-rays. These are all things that'll help the industry revive itself and become more of a prominent, exclusive quality product again, as opposed to the cheap horror of cinema.
Yeah.
You know, like, because that's what they've done. They ultimately shot themselves in the foot and made themselves cheap.
And if that starts happening, you heard it here first on the Say What Again, Billy podcast.
I hope it does happen. I really do, because I do want Hollywood to succeed. I enjoyed going to the theaters. I'm sure you did too. Like, I don't know, your whatever movie you like waited online to go see. Whenever
Ghostbusters.
Exactly. There you go. Whatever it was that for you that you like, I got to see this movie at midnight.
I never waited online for a movie.
All right. I'll tell you the one I did. Star Wars, when it came out, because I was like 12, 11. My uncle took me to see it, and it was the Phantom Menace. We saw it like at 12 o'clock at night, the first showing. The line was out the door. There's 100 people there.
I've never had that experience. I've had that experience.
I loved it.
I've had that experience with video games.
Okay, well, there you go. I waited online for Grand Theft Auto.
I am still some of the remaining very rare, because I'm 38 now. Mm-hmm. I waited online at Vic's Music Huts. Shout out!
I remember that place.
Shout out to Vic's Music Huts, Small Business Saturday, because we're recording on Saturday today. Mm-hmm. I would go to him, and this is before digital. So you're right about digital, what it does. Yeah. I go to him or GameStop. First GameStop, then I went to Vic.
I went to Dragon's Den. You went to Dragon's Den?
Yeah, I remember Dragon's Den. Cross County.
Yep.
I went to him. I'm like, I would go in there, drop the money. He knew me well. He was like, yo, come through. And if I caught him early, the line would be like, he'd be like, yo, pulled me up to the front. Yeah. Yo, dude, awesome times. And there was just times I waited on the line just for the experience, hearing everyone talk about how excited they were. Like, these kids today, they'll never realize that that's an experience that they're never going to have. They're never going to have. The
communal aspect of it, too. You know?
They'll never have that experience.
Because you're in line with somebody who's just as much as a fan as you are.
Right.
And you're like, oh, man, I hope X happens. I hope this person's in the game.
Talking about it online, about who's going to play tonight. You run home, you throw it into the system, you start playing. Even going back even younger, when I got a game at Toys R Us, my mom would take me out shopping all Sunday. All Sunday. If I was good as gold.
Yeah.
And, it destroyed my Sunday shopping.
Yeah.
We'd go like Central Avenue all day and then end off at like food shopping at like 2:30, 3 o'clock and get home at like 5 o'clock. Sometimes she'd stop at Toys R Us. Where Toys R Us, to those who don't know what Toys R Us is, it's a big toy store and they had video games. And you go to the video game section, it used to be a wall.
You take the ticket.
And you take the ticket out.
Yeah.
And you look at the flap of the game in the back.
Yeah.
And you take the ticket.
Yep.
And you go pay. And then you go to the big glass window and they gave you your game.
You're talking about the one on Bartow.
Yes. And what did you do with that game when you got in the car? You turned
it
it open. You ripped it open. You weren't even home yet.
Yeah.
You looked at the back.
Yeah.
All the way until you got home. And then when you got home, what'd you do? Right to the system.
Yeah.
Popped it in.
Yeah.
You got something you're not.
You see, there's an appreciation, that whole ride there, looking at getting the ticket. There was a build up to an event.
Kids today,
you're missing that with this digital platform.
Right.
That's the death of entertainment in its entirety. If the movies have to go back, I buy CDs now because I want to preserve that quality of music. So I will buy CDs that I like. But if you turn back the time for yourself, hopefully more people take that idea with them, because you will enjoy the things more so, the individual art more so, as opposed to looking at it as this is another disposable thing.
The kids today will never appreciate what we had, dude.
Because they just didn't grow up with it. But you know what I mean? Like, if you reinvest in community, I think that it could come back. It could, but there has to be enough people on board to do it.
I will stand by this. We are the best class or best age bracket of what we had. We had nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. I have an active imagination still because I used to just go outside and play.
We had nothing. I grew up. My grandmother would come watch me. I played video games.
Yeah.
Then I got to the trusted my mom and dad to go to the park, play softball, played baseball outside, went down the block with my friends. I played. Phone started coming around. I had the Nextel. Bleep, bleep. That's it. Where are you? Nothing. No internet. Just bleep. Where are you? Okay, we're meeting to play here. Have the phone. Whatever. Then it advanced, and we advanced with it. So we had a happy median where we had both the best worlds.
Yeah, because we weren't inundated with technology so much where you would just you don't have to leave your room.
In 30 years, we will be like our parents, where shit is going to get so advanced where we're going to need help of our kids, and that's it. And my daughter, she's on CapCut. She impressed me. I use CapCut to edit these things. She was taking the phone on, my lady's phone, taking the phone, just making her own CapCuts. Came out pretty good. Making little cat figures with songs in the background playing, with words popping up. And I was like, look at you, 8 years old.
Yeah. It could be a tool or a crutch technology. If you use it like a crutch, that's not good because you're gonna be that person, door dashes, download the video, and I don't leave this room for anything. I get my groceries to the door.
That's not
That's
good.
the crutch of it,
Yeah,
but if you want to make your life a little easier because you got to pick up your kid at 2, but you also need to buy medicine or toothpaste, but you can order it on Amazon and send it to your house, then you're doing it smart.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we were talking about the online waiting, and you can order your game, pre-order it, comes out, sit down, click, download, it's there. You don't experience that going out, waiting online thing ever again.
And you don't own it.
GameStop, yeah, for sure.
You don't own it.
We talked about this too. You don't own it.
And you will love it.
And GameStops are gone. They're all gone.
Yeah.
The last one that I know of just closed by over here on Westchester Square is closed. I'm like, wow, you have nowhere to go.
Hey, I'm a big proponent buy physical media, CDs, books, and movies, because once this whole digiting thing, if it does take hold completely, you don't own anything on there. You rent it. Even if you buy it, I'll give you a perfect example. PlayStation Network. I bought the first season of Walking Dead when it first came out. They had some type of dispute where they lost the contracts, and I was out the money for that, and they took it from me. I didn't own it. I never did. And now they make that argument in video games saying we need to get you used to not owning your games.
It's crazy.
What am I paying for if I don't own it? You know what I mean? I don't like that idea of not owning these things when you're telling me this is your game.
Long story short, start reading the fine print because I'm sure it's changing.
Yeah, buy physical media. Don't get away from that.
So, Dario, thanks for coming back on, buddy. In a few weeks, we'll be doing the birthday episode, 4 years. I hope you're here. I'll set the date with everybody, and we'll film that.
Always a pleasure. I love being here. I love talking about these things.
This is good. Always good talks. And, this is a big thank you to Spotify for Creators. If you don't know about Spotify for Creators, it is the free app that allows you to get your podcast idea out there. If you have a phone, tablet, or computer, head over to your downloading app store to get Spotify for Creators and get started on your very own podcast. Dario, I should go on radio.
That was an option.
I don't have the face for podcasting.
Well, no, you got the face for it.
Nah.
Yeah, there you go.
Nah, you and Joey, man.
Not me.
Nah. But I think I can go on radio.
You know who made a big... I love listening to still is old stuff. Art Bell. You know Art Bell?
Art Bell.
Yeah. He was very big on the West Coast, but you can catch his shows
1 o'clock in the morning.
YouTube. Yeah. Art Bell, he talks...
Coast to coast?
Midnight. Yeah, Coast to Coast and Midnight in the Desert. Mm-hmm. He talks... He was the first one to talk to Bob Lazar back in the early 2000s.
We might... our field investigator, Bobby, we were talking about this quite a few times in the last few weeks. And he was talking about that show. And I played him the clip where the guy from Area 51 called him. And it was like a 5-minute... And then all the radio signals went out on the West Coast. And they lost connection. And he was like, that's odd. We had this guy call, and then we lost our radio signal.
Yeah, I like Art Bell.
Read that. Read into that story. That's a good one.
Man. He was an interesting guy, and he talked to everybody. He was like the original Joe Rogan before Joe Rogan, where he didn't chastise anybody for their opinions. Just like, you got something to say, say
just
it.
talk it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Dario, it's a good episode. And until next time, it's been another episode of the Say What Again Billy podcast featuring actor Dario Anthony.
Take care.
Later, guys.